perceive a woman as being able to be beautiful and sexy at this point in your life? What do you think about the concept of cougars? Tell me about the things that you've still yet to accomplish, things that you're looking forward to or that you aspire to. Do you think the concept of growing up applies to individuals today? So you're telling me you had no difficulties, no adjustments with turning this age? Hi folks, and I really appreciate you being here with us today. I've got Daryl, I've got Barry, I've got Jill and Val. And I'm wondering, can you talk to me about the fact that we're all of this age? Has your impression of yourself changed now that you're looking back at 50 as opposed to looking forward to it or ahead at it? I wasn't looking forward to it.
It's kind of unfair. I don't feel older. Like I still, my friends say I feel the same way I felt when I was 35. And I'm thinking, I feel the same way I did when I was 19. But I'm embarrassed to tell people I'm 57 because it sounds so old. It's tough to deal with how other people look at you when you say you're 57.
I'm like Daryl. I don't feel 50. Like I feel like 20. And I know I don't look it, but I mean inside I feel that way. I feel like I haven't really grown up. I'm still immature.
Mm-hmm. I don't think any of the friends or people we spend a lot of time with think of themselves as old. And we're all still, I think, grasping life by the horns and more zestful and going for it now because we're done with the kid raising. We're moving on. We don't have those obligations. No one's looking at us for to be role models anymore.
Oh, see, now
Their favorite line is, "This is not the woman that raised me." That's their favorite line.
Frankly, I was scared that turning 50 would take me from, prospect to creepy older guy, like overnight, that was going to happen, right?
But it took 2 nights, right?
It took 2 nights, exactly.
Everything takes longer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I think 50 was the tough one for me. 30 was nothing. 40 was kind of a little twinge. But 50, after 50, I started thinking, oh, there's probably stuff I can't do now. And I start being my own worst enemy. But as far as relating to other people, I just live and do what I do. And I work with a lot of people who are half my age. And we all get along fine. And it always surprises them to find out how old I am. And that's fine. I don't think they look down on me or look down their nose at me. They realize he's just doing what he's doing, and for the most part, he's doing whatever he wants to do, and I think it works out okay.
For me, a little bit of the time is ticking and like looking at the bucket list and trying to, start to tick things off. But, and I work with a lot of younger people too, most of my, a good 25 years younger than me. And I like that I can fit in. I can have conversation with them and contribute, and we can laugh and I don't go around like wearing a big badge saying how old I am because I think a lot of them would be surprised. But there's a freedom. I just find that there's a huge freedom in being 50, and it didn't bother me at all.
My new best friends are I work in a high school, and it's the kids who say, "Oh, you're 50? You don't look 50." I go, "Okay, you're my new best friend now."
Exactly.
But my big thing about being 50 is, and I said to my hairdresser is, I don't want to dress too young. Like, I don't want to look like I'm trying to dress young, but I also don't want to look like I'm dressing too old or acting too old either. So I use my daughter as does this look okay on me? Because I know she won't let me leave the house if I'm going to embarrass her. So.
Okay, well, and that brings up another point, is that 30 years ago, our parents, when they turned 50, I watched my parents turn 50 and they were old. Yeah. I don't see that when I look in the mirror, and I don't see it when I look at you guys.
Well, I don't know how 50 is supposed to feel because I've never been 50 before, but I do look back and think about, okay, my mom was this age when she had me, so when I was 15, she would have been this age, and yeah, I'm like, wow, like they were old before their time, and I think society just didn't allow them to be the freedoms like that we have now to be young and be who we are.
I don't know. I don't really think about. I don't compare myself to my parents, for the most part, because I think they always seem old to me. Whatever age I am, they're old to me. It just doesn't seem to equate to me.
I always think we're at the bottom end of the baby boomers, but we've kind of embraced that. Like, we don't really let ourselves be held back, and I'm not sure what held our parents back, but I'm sure it had a ton to do with the world at that time. You probably had to kind of conform to some conformality. Where now, I think we live in a day and an age where you know, everybody kind of salutes individuals, you know, and I think they kind of like that. I learn from people that are different from me, and I actually take an interest in what they're doing. I may not like it, but I'm curious.
Something that drives it home for me is going to see a favorite musician and looking in the audience and seeing 10 to 65-year-olds. It can be Metallica or Fleetwood Mac,
Yeah.
and there's still 10 to 65-year-olds in the audience.
Even look at the Rolling Stones and what's left of the Beatles. Look how old they are. They're like seniors, and they're up there rocking away. It's like
With the same vitality and the
exactly.
same ability to make
Totally.
our spines tingle.
Yeah.
Our son loves the same music that we like. He loves Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, like all those. Like in fact, I like stuff that I didn't listen to back when I was younger because of him. Really, like.
Do you think your kids see you in the same light that you saw your parents at this age?
Oh, absolutely not. I never had a conversation with my parents about some of the stuff that my daughter and I would talk about now, and have, like, for me to, like, go to a pub with my daughter, no big deal, we do it all the time. But for me to do that with my parents and, like, just hang out, no, just didn't happen. I'm still mom. I mean, that doesn't change. There's still that mother-daughter relationship, but it's much more relaxed and much more free than what I would ever have experienced with my parents.
I remember asking my dad one time, Dad, why don't you ever talk about, you know, like the good old days? Because my dad was never a person that did that. And he just looked at me and he just really sternly says, good old days. He says, I'll tell you what, these are the good old days. And then he told me some of their hardships, you know, like what they lived through. And, you know, things like we take for granted, like central heating. I mean, they didn't even have that. And, you know, living in pretty much a granary in the middle of Saskatchewan and your nose froze to your pillow, stuff like that. I was like mortified to go, oh, I guess I understand why you don't talk about that.
So you think creature comforts have really contributed
Oh, of
to
course.
our ability
Yeah.
to be more relaxed about life because it hasn't presented us with that kind of strenuous,
Yeah.
arduous endurance
so.
that they had to deal with?
I think we're more casual. I mean, we have an expectation. We live in a wonderful country. We're not dying from things they died from, you know, 80 years ago.
I don't know if it's so much medical science that's changed us as attitude. I mean, the baby boomer generation, I think we rejected what our parents were, and I think our parents might have just accepted what their parents were and accepted getting older. And, you know, maybe we're fooling ourselves to some degree. I mean, like when I say I feel like I'm 20, for the most part I do, but there are days when I know, you know, old age is inevitably creeping closer, and you just try and ignore those moments and keep on going.
Talk to me about how vibrant and sexy and desirable a woman between the ages of 45 and 60 can be. Are they still sexy and vivacious and desirable? Do they have a right to expect to be?
You know, I actually, when I see a really good looking, say, you know, someone in that 50 area, I'm just as much, you know, I'm as much a guy at my age as I was when I was 20. Everybody appreciates a good looking woman, you know, and I say yay.
Today's woman is in better shape, smart, funny, interesting, and that's a sexy package.
It's a lot of work, though. The dyeing the hair and the getting the facials, and it's a lot of work. But I think if I look good and I have no gray roots, I feel better about myself. I feel more confident if I'm doing all those things.
Yeah, I'm the same. I do it for me. I exercise. I didn't even exercise before I was 37. I started running and being fit. And now I'm more obsessed with for the health reason. But as far as I like to no gray roots and like to, I don't know.
Stay on top
Yeah,
of just
yeah, exactly.
taking care of yourself
Yeah,
and
exactly.
feeling good about what you see when you look in the mirror.
Totally, that's it. So.
So comforting just to live. You know, my wife is my best friend, but she's more than that, you know, and so it's
She's
awesome.
still a happening chick.
Yeah, no, it's still awesome. I love her looks, and you know, I don't think that'll change.
But I really would like to thank you for the robust conversation because this is going to contribute to the film greatly. Thank you.
Can I share one last thought?
All right.
And I know this doesn't really relate. We talked about 50 being middle age. A really good friend of mine, C.R. Nichols, interviewed a gentleman who turned 100. he came down to our radio stations, and Cease talked to him. And at the end of the conversation, he said, well, what's the biggest thing about being 100 that you've noticed? And he said, the days are long, but the years are short. And I thought, yeah, that's a great line. And, you know, I think we're starting to feel that a little bit.
We got another 30, at least 30 years to party it up, so let's, you know, I don't want to waste any of that time.